Just in, the White House reacting now to the growing scandal at the Veterans Administration. 2 employees at a hospital in North Carolina now suspended allegedly for engaging in, quote, inappropriate scheduling practices. This is on top of alleged misconduct at other VA facilities in Arizona and Wyoming. The hospital in Phoenix accused of maintaining a secret list to hide massive backlogs of patients who are waiting for care. As many as 40 veterans died, apparently waiting for life-saving medical help. These reports are now leading to growing calls for VA Secretary Eric Shinseki to step down, something he says he will not do. Peter Ducey live at the White House with more on these developments. Peter.
And John, the latest word from the White House, we heard from the press secretary just a few minutes ago, that the president takes all allegations of wrongdoing at VA hospitals across the country very seriously, but that right now the president thinks the right thing to do is to keep Secretary Shinseki on board. Here's why.
The president remains confident that Secretary Shinseki has the ability to lead the department and to take appropriate action based on the IG's findings.
And here in D.C., lawmakers are now looking forward to Thursday. That's when the VA secretary is going to appear on Capitol Hill. And one of the lawmakers who has called for his resignation will also have a chance to ask Secretary Shinseki some questions. That's Republican Senator Jerry Moran, who lays out his argument like this. He says, quote, "The problem here is a lack of leadership, a lack of will. And if this Secretary of Veterans Affairs is unwilling or unable to get this to be the department it needs to be to care for America's greatest heroes, then it's time for new leadership." The way military experts are looking at this now, they see the stories of veterans being denied the care they deserve, and they say it highlights the need for a complete top-to-bottom overhaul of the way care is provided.
We have a huge demand on our veterans, and we don't have the capacity, at least it appears, based on the evidence that's coming forward, we don't have the capacity to be able to meet that demand. We're not responsive to their health care needs, and we're not as responsive as we should be to process their disability claims.
And this morning, 24 members of the Texas delegation sent a letter to the Inspector General at the VA. They are very troubled by reports of wrongdoing with the scheduling process at facilities in Waco, San Antonio, and Austin. They want an immediate investigation, and they want anyone involved in keeping veterans waiting punished right away. John?
Seems like this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger. Peter Ducey at the White House. Peter, thank you.
For more on this, Gunnery Sergeant Jessie Jane Duff joins us, who sits on the Advisory Committee for Concerned Veterans for America. Jessie, it's nice to have you back on the program. What is the position of your group on whether or not Secretary Shinseki should stay or should go?
Oh, we've asked for Secretary Shinseki's resignation over a year ago. There's a fundamental leadership trait in the military. It's know your men and know your mission. How can the secretary claim that he wasn't even aware of the scandal back in Wyoming? We've had scandal after scandal over this past year, let alone a backlog of over a year that increased by 2,000% under this secretary. So yes, I believe he should resign, because simply leadership means you know what's going on. And a failure of leadership is demonstrated by what's been going on by these scandals.
With less than 1% of the American public attached to the military in a significant way, for most of us on the outside, looking at this scandal as it grows, this is new. And you've said, no, this is not new to us. We've been watching it. In fact, you called it a culture of corruption at the VA. Fill us in, if you will, on what actually is happening behind the scenes, in your opinion.
Oh, my gosh. In my opinion, there is not a money problem. It's a management problem. Let's go to Dorn Medical Facility, where there were 5 men who died from a lack of care due to not being able to get in for a colonoscopy. That was reported last summer. We've had deaths in Augusta, Atlanta, go up to Ohio, and we've got deaths due to Legionnaire's disease that was not being reported, and 700 veterans sick. Let's go on now and look at the Government Accountability Office. Just last week, was reported 1.5 million veteran appointment records have been deleted. We don't even know if those veterans exist anymore. We don't even know if they got care. It is systemic. It's across the nation.
So how do we fix it? And if Secretary Shinseki does step down, and we don't know if that's the case, obviously the White House, we heard from Peter Ducey, it doesn't look like it's going in that direction. Who takes charge? And how do you fix a problem that you say is big and systemic?
Oh, okay. So first of all, we got to get the VA Management and Accountability Act passed through the Senate. Senate 2013 is the bill number. Harry Reid has not signed on to this bill, and the VA has been fighting it because it will allow us to fire executives who are not performing and allowing veterans to die, such as we've seen in these scandals. That bill must get passed. Secretary Shinseki should have led the charge back in December when he heard about the Wyoming situation. He claims he didn't know. Again, I go back to poor leadership. So let's get the Senate bill pushed forward. Everybody out there, get to Harry Reid's office. Tell him to get that in front of the Senate. VA Management Accountability Act has to go through.
What is the message, do you think, that's being sent to our veterans based on reports that, as John mentioned, drip by drip by drip, continue to come out from not just one state, but several states, not just one hospital, but many?
Oh, it tells me that they condone this mismanagement. We had executives get $80,000 in bonuses in a period of 4 years, and yet 5 veterans were dead at their VA medical facility. Up in Dayton, Ohio, there was an executive who got close to $12,000 in bonuses. Meanwhile, his dental facility was being inspected for not being sanitary. We've had case after case. Even Sharon Hellman out in Phoenix had received a bonus of close to $10,000. Meanwhile, they had her secret waiting list going on. Every executive in 2012 but one received a satisfactory rating in their performance evaluations. They have to be held accountable. This isn't a money problem. It's a management problem.
And so from here, the first priority is what?
Well, the first priority is get the Senate bill through. We have to be able to hold these executives accountable. I honestly believe that Secretary Shinseki is not being honest when he says he doesn't know about these things. If I know about these scandals, and I've just rattled off 4 or 5 of them in the brief moments I have, how could he not know? That's poor leadership, and a 4-star general should do better than that. I would have been removed from my post while I was on active duty if I claimed I did not know when my Marines were not performing the way they're supposed to perform. The Secretary should own up. He should lead the charge in changing this, and I do ask for him to resign.
Jessie, it's nice having you on the program. We look forward to having you back. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.